The following program is paid for by the friends and partners of Touching Lives.
Yes, you will get the short end of the stick. Yes, people will hurt you. Yes, you will be disappointed. Yes, things won't always work out. Yes, life's not always fair. But at the end of the day, God says, everything's going according to plan. I got this. And it's going to be for your good. It's going to be for my glory. And at the end of the day, one day you'll look back and you would have said, wow, that's exactly the way I would have done it too. That's exactly the way it should have worked, because the God that is in you is bigger than the evil that others do to you.
Teaching people everywhere who Jesus is and why they need Him. This is Touching Lives with James Merritt.
Joseph had 11 brothers and one sister, and every one of them except one brother absolutely hated his guts. They could not stand him. They didn't like to be around him. They didn't want anything to do with him. And you say, well, I know what that's like, because if you've ever had any sibling rivalry going on in your family, you know what Thanksgiving is like at Joseph's house, okay? So you've got all this hatred going on, and you say, well, why did they hate him so much? Well, first of all, his mother was his dad's favorite woman of the four. He was the favorite son of the favorite mother and the favorite son of dad. He got everything. He got the best of everything. Anything he wanted, he got. The other brothers didn't, but he did. And he always got the best of all of it. He got the best Christmas gifts. He got the biggest Valentine's Day gift. He got the biggest birthday party. He got the best of everything. And his brothers had grown to hate him so much, they wanted to get rid of him. So one day, they were away from their dad. Their dad had sent them off to do an errand for him, and he sent Joseph out to check on them to see how they were doing. When they saw Joseph coming, they came up with this great idea. They take Joseph and they throw Joseph into a pit. This is their brother now, 17 years old. They take Joseph and throw him into a pit to leave him for dead. Well, one brother finally gets the other brothers together and says, look, let's don't kill our own brother. We'll never get over this. We'll feel guilty the rest of our life. So there was a group of human traffickers that came by, and they sold Joseph to these human traffickers for 20 silver pieces. So here's Joseph, 17 years old, taken away from his family, and he thinks he's never, ever going to see his father again. You say, man, that's bad. Well, Murphy's Law kicks in, because things get worse. He becomes a slave on a plantation for 11 years. He's a good slave. As a matter of fact, he does his job so well, he's so faithful and so dependable that his boss, Potiphar, puts him in charge over the whole plantation. Well, there was a problem. Mrs. Potiphar was a cougar. And she loved Joseph. He was a handsome dude, good-looking guy. So she starts trying to seduce Joseph, but Joseph loves God, and Joseph loves his master, and he's not going to betray either one of them. And she does everything she can to get Joseph to go to bed with her, but he is not going to do it. One day she gets so angry, she rips her dress and she screams out and pretends that Joseph had raped her because Joseph would not go to bed with her. Potiphar comes home, he buys it hook, line, and sinker, doesn't give Joseph a chance to explain himself, and now Joseph is thrown into prison for something he didn't even do. So because of 10 brothers that hated his insides, he's gone from the pit to the plantation to the prison, and he hasn't done one thing wrong, not one. Well, if you know the story, it has a great ending, because he eventually does become the prime minister of Egypt. And through a series of events, the narrative comes full circle, and now his brothers are at his mercy. Now he can do anything to his brothers he wants to. Now he can get his pound of flesh. Now he can have revenge. And if he had decided to put his brothers to death, nobody would have blamed him. The law would not have blamed him. Potiphar, Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, would not have blamed him. If you'd heard his story, you'd have said, Joseph, I don't blame you for doing it. They've got it coming to them. But instead, he forgives them. And how he does it and the way he does it tells us not just how we can forgive others, but why we ought to forgive others. And here's how he did it. You ready? He took a wide-angled view of everything that had happened to him. Now, if you're a photographer, you know what I'm talking about, because in every photographer's bag, there's this thing called a wide-angle lens. A wide-angle lens is a very short lens, but it has a wide field of view. And it allows the camera to capture a lot more of the scene than a normal lens can. So when Joseph takes out this wide-angle lens and he sees everything that happens to him through this wide viewpoint, this 30,000 viewpoint, he comes to a realization: forgiveness is not my only option, it's my best option. The best thing I can do for my brothers is to forgive them. It's not just best for them, it's best for me. And there are some of you listening to me right now, and I've touched your nerve, because you're already sitting there, you've already put your guard up. You're already upset, you already wish now you hadn't even come. Because you've heard all this before, and you say, listen, stop right there, bud. You don't know how that person hurt me. You don't know what that person did to me. You don't know how I was thrown under the bus. So don't sit up there when you stand up there on your platform and tell me I ought to forgive. Well, let me ask you a question. How did Joseph keep from being burned by the fire of bitterness? How did Joseph avoid drowning in a sea of bitterness? How did Joseph become immune to the poison of bitterness? Now, I want you to see this. It's because he refused to do 4 things that I want to promise you today. If you will make up your mind, I'm never going to do these 4 things the rest of my life, you not only will find you can forgive, you will find you will want to forgive, you'll be glad you did forgive, and you walk out of here free from the prison of bitterness you put yourself in. I'm going to state these negatively, but they're going to have a very positive effect. So if you're one of those people right now and you're saying, let me just tell you, forget it. Can't do it. You don't know what happened. I can't forgive them. I can't forgive him. I can't forgive her. I can't get past it. Don't do 4 things. Number 1, never take the place of God. Never take the place of God. Now we pick up the story, Genesis 50, verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, what if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs that we did to him? Let me tell you what's going on. Joseph's been reunited with his brothers. They've been living together for 17 years. And Joseph has treated them with kindness. He has forgiven them. He's told them he's forgiven them. He showed them he's forgiven them. He has tried to prove to them he's forgiven them. But now their dad has died. And for some reason, they got it in their mind, yeah, we know why you forgave us, because dad's still alive. But as soon as dad's dead, you're going to get your pound of flesh. Well, dad's dead. The insurance policy's lapsed. For the first time, they finally do, after 17 years, what they should have done 17 years earlier. They finally confess. Listen to what they say. So they sent word to Joseph saying, your father left these instructions before he died. Let me just go ahead and tell you a little spoiler alert. That's a lie. They made that story up. There's nothing in the text that tells us that. They're still lying. They're still conniving. They're still trying to save their own skin. Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you're to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers, watch this, the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now, please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father. When their message came to him, look how Joseph responds. Joseph wept. They send word to Joseph. They make a story up. Dad said, forgive us. Dad said, don't hold a grudge. You got to do what dear old dad said. And Joseph just breaks down crying. You say, well, why? Because even though he had already affirmed 17 years ago he had forgiven them, they had not accepted his forgiveness. Now, the good thing is they finally give this real confession. There are 4 words used for sin in the Old Testament. They use 3 of them. They use the word transgression, they use the word sin, they use the word evil. In other words, finally they've emptied their clip. They finally got the monkey off their back. They finally man up and say, this is what we did to you. We transgressed against you. We sinned against you. We committed evil against you. They have finally given a full, faithful confession, a total, truthful admission of what they've done. And now they're saying, we really want to be forgiven. And the reason why Joseph is weeping and the reason why Joseph's heart is broken is because he realizes for 17 years, You've been living in a prison for guilt. For 17 years, you've been living under this shadow of guilt and fear when you should have been enjoying the sunshine of grace and forgiveness, because I have already forgiven you. And they now finally wake up and realize that the only key that will unlock the door of the prison of bitterness and get you out is the key of forgiveness. And so now we're introduced to Joseph's amazing response. Winston Churchill would have said, Joseph, this was your finest hour. Listen to what Joseph says. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. We are your slaves, they said. But Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Why shouldn't we be afraid, Joseph? We did get you in the pit. We did put you on the plantation. We did get you thrown into prison. We did separate you from your father. For 23 years we did that. That's okay. Am I in the place of God? Never take the place of God. Number two, never forget the providence of God. Never forget the providence of God. All right, now remember what Joseph's doing. He's taking this 30,000-foot look. He's about now to give us a truth that if you truly believe what I'm about to tell you, this is so big. If you truly believe in the next 2 or 3 minutes what I'm going to tell you, and you really believe it, I promise you it will permanently change your behavior forever. The reason why Joseph was able to behave the right way and do the right thing is because he believed the right thing. If you believe that you cannot outgive God, if you believe that God honors a tithe, you'll tithe. If you don't, you won't. If you believe that people without Christ are lost, and if you believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven, you'll share Jesus with other people. If you don't, then you don't. Our behavior is always determined by our belief. Always. That's 100% true. It determines it. So what Joseph's about to say about his life is true about your life. Listen to what he says. This is so good. He says, look, guys, you intended to harm me. I know that. But God intended it for good. Now, the first thing Joseph does, this is so important. If you got a problem with bitterness today, somebody's done you wrong. Let me just tell you something. A lot of people don't understand this. I have people come to me and they'll say, man, this person hurt me. They did me wrong. And I'm trying to forgive them. I just can't do it. And so what do you think I need to do? Do I just need to forgive them right now? You know what I always say? It really shocks them when I say that. I say, no, you're not ready to forgive yet. They'll say, well, what do I need to do first? I say, well, the first thing you need to do, you just need to acknowledge what they've done to you. Say it out loud. What have they done? Listen to 3 words. As for you, you meant, word 1, evil against me. But, second word, God meant it for, third word, good. Now here's what Joseph said. You guys like math? Here's a mathematical equation. Evil filtered through God comes out good. Evil filtered through God comes out good. Or if you like alliteration, grief filtered through God comes out good. Now, if you want to know what we mean by the providence of God, that's a big word. That's exactly what we mean by the providence of God. Everything bad that will ever happen in your life, God intends it for good. Providence is God working in your life and in the entire universe, where at the end of the day, everything comes out for your good and everything comes out for His glory. There's an old saying you probably have heard, the devil's in the details. That's wrong. The devil's not in the details. God's in the details. The devil's not running the show. God's running the show. So don't ever, ever forget the providence of God. Third thing, never doubt the plan of God. Never doubt the plan of God. Now, consider the next part of this statement. Listen to what Joseph says. He says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Then he goes on to add this, to accomplish what is now being done. I got this plan, and I'm working out my plan. Now, let me just be clear so you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There's nothing in this text that says that all the things that happened to Joseph were good, because they were not. Joseph being thrown into a pit, it wasn't good. Joseph being sold to human traffickers wasn't good. Joseph being falsely accused of rape, not good. Joseph being thrown into a prison, not good. What you're going through right now may not be good, but God has a plan. And God says, don't worry about it. I'm going to take all this bad stuff, and at the end of the day, it'll be for your good and my glory. That's my plan for you. So when somebody throws you under the bus, they leave you holding the bag, you get the short end of the stick, they leave you high and dry, God says, that's okay. I'm going to use it to accomplish my plan. And listen, this is one of the other things, I thought about this morning, I realized I was going to be preaching to these students. There's one other thing I want you students to hear. Listen, God's plan for you is bigger than you. And His plan is bigger than your plan for you. If I'm living proof, I'm a satisfied customer. You may have all these goals set out in your life. Boy, I want to do this. I want to go here. I want to accomplish that. I want to be here. I want to get that. Listen, you know what God would say to you right now if you could just see, is that all you got? Is that the best you can do? You haven't seen anything until you see what I've got planned for you. I don't have time to even go into this. You've heard my story before. I can't believe I'm standing up here doing what I'm doing right now because this was not my plan for me. But Teresa and I talk about it all the time. We get married. We go off to seminary. I'm pastoring a church running 40 people because there's only 38 in the county. We stole 2 Methodists. But where, Teresa, God has brought us. His plan was so much bigger and so much better than ours. Listen to me. Things don't happen by coincidence. They happen by providence. And providence guarantees that everything is going according to God's plan. So, last thing, we'll finish up. Ready? Never question the purpose of God. That's the last trick. Never question the purpose of God. Now listen to the rest of this statement. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. There's the providence of God. I'm going to take care of it. To accomplish what's now being done, that's my plan. Now watch this. What was the purpose? The saving of many lives. And you need to understand something about God's plan for your life, by the way, okay? It wasn't drawn up last night. He doesn't make it up on the fly. He doesn't have to improvise or adjust. God's plan for you and me are wrapped around the purpose He had for you and me before you even came out of your mother's womb. God says, I know what I'm doing. I know why I brought you into this world. And God's plan is always in accordance with God's purpose. There's a method to God's madness. God has a purpose in everything that He does, and He not only has a plan He wants to achieve, He has a purpose He wants to accomplish. That's why God never does what we do. You know, when something wrong goes in our life, what do? We react. God never reacts to anything that goes wrong in your life. God acts before it happens. God providentially funnels everything that happens to you and me into the container of His plan so that at the end of the day, His purpose is accomplished. Listen, it took Joseph 23 years to finally understand the reason why I went through all of this junk and the reason why all of that bad stuff happened to me was because God wanted to use me for the saving of many lives. Now, what lives was He referring to? Who needed to be saved? Well, earlier, He had said to His brothers, but God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. See, He wasn't just trying to save His family. He was trying to save His family so they would become a nation that would send a Savior into the world. So let's do this. Let's roll the tape back. Let's pretend we can go all the way back and we can undo what happened. So the brothers don't sell Joseph into slavery. They don't throw him into the pit. And he doesn't go to Egypt. Well, if he doesn't go to Egypt, there would be no nation of Israel. And if there's no nation of Israel, there's no Jesus. And if there's no Jesus, there's no salvation for the entire world. So you're 17 years old. You don't know what's going on. You're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 right now. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen your sophomore, junior, senior year. You don't know what's going to happen when you graduate and go off to college. Joseph did not know that one day a famine would come that could have destroyed his entire family, but God did. Joseph didn't know that being in prison would lead him to the palace and put him in a position of such power he could literally save an entire nation, but God did. Joseph didn't know that God had to send him to Egypt, so ultimately his family would give birth to the nation of Israel, and they would give birth to Jesus, the Savior of the world. Joseph didn't know that, but God did. And there's a lot of things. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. There's 100% of things you don't know about tomorrow. You don't even know if you're going to be alive tomorrow. But God does. God knows. And when you rewind the tape, you see, wow, God, you had a purpose for that pit. You had a purpose for that plantation. You had a purpose for that prison. And it was also that Joseph could be put into a palace so he would have the power and the position to save not just his family, to save not just a nation, but to save the entire world. Here's what I want you to see. You're not going to like this. It's just true. Every time Joseph was put where he did not want to be, he was right where God wanted him to be. You know what, Pastor? I don't like where I am in my life right now. I'm not where I want to be. That's all right. You're where God wants you to be. Pastor, everything's just not going according to my plan. That's okay. It's going according to His plan. Because God's plan is always better than yours. And God's purpose is always bigger than yours. And that's why Joseph can lovingly and honestly say to his brothers, don't be afraid. I'll provide for you and your children. And he reassured them and he spoke kindly to them. See, that's when you know you've really forgiven someone. You know that, right? The way you know you've really forgiven someone is not just in the words that you speak, but the actions that you do. It's not just said, it is shown. So what do we learn today? Only the water of forgiveness can quench the fire of bitterness. So by the way, as we wrap this up, Joseph had a son. You know what he named his first son? Manasseh. Do you know what the name Manasseh means? To forget. You know why Joseph named his son? Every time he looked at that boy, it reminded him of his brothers. Guys, I forgive. Guys, I forget. Guys, it's all in the rear view mirror. And Joseph became a doctor who healed himself because he didn't take the place of God. He didn't forget the providence of God. He didn't doubt the plan of God, and he didn't question the purpose of God. So let me just say this, we're done. The same God that was controlling every event in his life is still sitting on the throne of this universe. And the same God that was controlling every event in his life is still controlling every event of your life. Yes, he will allow evil to be done to you. Yes, you will get the short end of the stick. Yes, people will hurt you. Yes, you will be disappointed. Yes, things won't always work out. Yes, life's not always fair. But at the end of the day, God says, everything's going according to plan. I got this. And it's going to be for your good. It's going to be for my glory. And at the end of the day, one day you'll look back and you would have said, wow, that's exactly the way I would have done it too. That's exactly the way it should have worked. Because the God that is in you is bigger than the evil that others do to you. Okay, so what's our job? Our job is to forgive what others do to us. That's our job. God's job is to providentially fit what others do to us into His plan and into His purpose. So ultimately, it's for our good and for His glory. And I saved the best for last. You ready for this? Everybody ready? He has a 100% success rate. He's never failed one time. I know this about me, and I know this about you. If Jesus Christ is your Lord, if the God that made you is the God that owns you and the God that controls you, I know this. At the end of the day, you draw your last breath, you leave this earth and you step into eternity, here's what I guarantee you will be true. A, it was all for your good, all for His glory. And B, you wouldn't change a thing, because the greatest evil that was ever done was when Jesus Christ died on a cross. And look what God has done with that.
Years ago, there was a great tennis player named Andre Agassi, and he did these commercials for a camera company. They had the line, "Image is everything." My generation bought into that. Our generation still buys into that. It's image that counts. I beg to differ. Reputation is what other people think you are. Character is what you and God know that you are. Your character is far more important than your reputation. Your character is far more important than any image that you portray. That's why I've written this book, Character Still Counts, because it does. As a matter of fact, it counts more than anything else in life. One of these days, you'll be dead, I'll be dead, we will be gone, and our reputation really won't matter. But the only true legacy that we'll leave behind is our character. So I want to invite you to buy a copy of this book today. Go to touchinglives.org and get your copy. And don't just read it. Use it to invest your life into the lives of those that you love, the people that mean the most to you. And live every day with this message that people can see, hear, touch, and feel. Yes, my character still counts.
This October, join Dr. James Merritt and friends as beautiful Branson, Missouri plays host to the 2020 Mountaintop Conference. This Ozark city offers something for everyone, from world-class dining to live entertainment to unique shopping. There is an adventure waiting for you. This year's event will feature powerful preaching daily from Dr. Merritt. Joining him will be two dynamic preachers, Dr. Steve Gaines, pastor of Bellevue Baptist Church, and Dr. Nick Floyd, pastor of Cross Church. Experience incredible music from Grammy Award-winning Guy Penrod and one of Christian music's biggest artists, Crowder. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys will also be stopping by to share some of their story. This is sure to be an event that you don't want to miss. Visit mountaintopconference.com for all the details and join us this October 5th through 7th. Reserve your spot today. Touching Lives, teaching people everywhere who Jesus is and why they need Him. This program is sponsored by Touching Lives Ministries and is made possible by the grace of God and your faithful prayers and gifts.